Hi, and welcome to our 2 acre world. Today I'm going to be turning this pallet that I found into a beautiful screen door. Stay tuned. And I'm going to be cutting these nails with the Sawzall like I normally do. Remember, if you're not going to be running these cross members through a table saw later, then you don't need to worry about those nails that are in there. This is a lot more efficient and faster way of doing it. Keeps the wood from splitting, and I get what I want. This pallet is large. It's 7 or 8 feet long, and it was originally holding an automotive lift for an automotive repair shop, and a buddy of mine let me know about it, and I went and picked it up, so I got this for free. On one side of it's going to be 1-inch lumber, and we came up with some initial ideas and concepts and drawings and settled on this one right here. I'm going to get the nails removed. And on this long board here, this is going to be my two sides to my screen door. I'm pretty much going to split this down the middle. Get the same measurement on the table saw and go ahead and rip this in half. And then we're going to use some shorter pieces of this are going to account for the top and the bottom, as well as the wider center piece. And we're going to need some pieces for our 3 bars down at the bottom. And I'm going to use my pocket hole kit here from Miles Craft. I'll put a link for this down below. It's not the expensive fancy Craig jig, but it's relatively easy to use. It saved me a lot of money, and I don't really do enough pocket holes to justify spending a bunch of money on a Craig pocket hole jig. I know they're nice, but I just don't have a need for it right now. And this has been all pre-set up. I've got the measurement already set. This is an adjustable piece here that I'm drilling into based on the thickness of the wood that you have. So I've already got that pre-adjusted, and I've got the collar pre-adjusted on my drill bit as well to the proper depth. And I'm going to repeat this process for all the pieces that I've got to do. I'm going to have to do the top and the bottom, where they'll be screwing into the 2 long sides, and then also for the centerpiece, and then also for the 3 bottom pieces. And then I'm going to be cutting the grooves. I need a groove on all 4 sides, top and bottom and left and right, to accommodate the spline for the screen material. And there was no specific measurement for this groove. I just needed it plenty deep enough to hold that screen in tight. So here's a top and one of the sides. Next, I'm going to go ahead and do the assembly. I'm just going to do this on my deck that desperately needs paint, but it's about the only large flat area that I've got anywhere to work with. And I'm going to be gluing this using Titebond 3 Ultimate. It's a good all-weather outdoor glue. We need everything to be all-weather, of course. This is a screen door outside. I'll put a link for that glue down below. Does a good job. And I'm using the pocket hole clamp. Just keep everything relatively flat and staying in place while I run the screws through. I'm going to check it for square. I'm just going to go corner to corner. And amazingly, it was dead on. I'm going to go ahead and measure where I want this centerpiece to go. It's a little bit below center. Needed a little help to get this in there. Those two sideboards were a little tweaked. So I had to use this dead blow hammer. Dead blow hammer is going to be filled with sand. It's going to have a soft edge to it, filled with sand, and it's going to give you an additional impact when you swing the hammer. My son's a big fan of these dead blow hammers, and I am quickly becoming one in the right circumstances. I'm going to check it for square again. And son of a gun, if it wasn't dead on still, we'll go ahead and put our 3 center pieces on. I'll get this first one on center, get it screwed in, and they're tight using that dead blow hammer again. Now, I wasn't able to get the other 2 pieces being installed because the battery died on the camera, but they got installed pretty much the same way, just on center with the other opening. Now I'm going to go ahead and rip another piece, and I'm going to be making the corner braces for the top section. I'm going to have a brace in each corner, and the first thing I did, of course, was place the wood the wrong way and make a mistake and have to flip that piece of wood over and correct the error. And I'm going to need 4 of these. And these are going to get mounted in each of the corners. I'm just going to kind of dry fit them here and check them for the angles are correct. It's pretty much just a 45. And I'm going to use my pocket hole drill bit, not for a pocket hole per se, but just to countersink a hole, and I will use the pocket hole screws to put these in. And I glued and screwed all of these into place. Turned out just fine. Now we're going to fill these pocket holes. So the original kit that I bought long ago had come with these plugs. There's maybe a dozen or so, and I had never used them for anything, so I decided on this particular project I want everything covered up. I want all the screw holes covered and filled. I want it to look as nice as I can make it. I'm by no means a master carpenter, but I did want it to look as good as I could do it. So I'm going to go ahead and use these wedges to fill these holes. And these are already pre-cut when you buy them this way. But I only had so many of them, and I had a lot more holes to fill than I had the little wedges. So I had a piece of 3/8 dowel, which was absolutely perfect. So I'm going to make a mark here where I need to cut these off. I'm just going to go ahead and cut myself up a bunch of this dowel. These little pieces are a couple inches maybe. And then I'm going to glue and hammer these all into place, filling the rest of the holes. And I'm going to do the same on all 4 of the corner braces. These corner braces are going to not only give it a decorative touch, but are also going to give it some rigidity as well. That worked out well doing it this way. I'm going to take this cutoff saw, or Japanese cutoff saw some people call it, and I'm just going to cut these flush, and then we'll come back and sand everything smooth when we get to sanding. this point I could really feel the project coming together, but I still have a lot to do. And the bane of every woodworker's existence is the sanding. I try to just kind of make it a meditative experience. I don't know about you. There's no getting around it. It takes time to do it. There's lots of pieces to this thing, lots of edges, inside, outside edges, both sides. I hit this with 80 first and then went over both sides again with 120. Next, I grabbed this router that my son gifted to me one birthday. And this is the first time I'm using a router since high school, so I actually think I did a pretty good job. I did take some practice runs, and I just used a 1/4 round bit. And because this is a screen and it's going to be handled in a lot of different ways depending on the person touching it, I wanted to make sure that all the surfaces were sanded smooth, had nice rounded surfaces. There was no sharp or rough edges at all. I can tell you that I really like the ease of use of this particular little cordless Ryobi router. So I found that in measuring that the screen door was actually going to be hitting the doorknob the way everything was mounted. So I had to make a recess for the doorknob to fit into, so I just took a bottle that happened to be the right diameter, and I used just a straight bit on the router to carefully route this out following that line, and then I went ahead and cleaned up the center. Next, I needed to start the finish process finally, so I used stain and spar, so it's basically a stain and a sealant combined. I'm using water-based. I'm just going to brush it on. I did go back and wipe it off periodically. This is the first of 3 coats. This is kind of fun watching it go on for the first time. It felt good to take this next step, but after a while it gets a little tedious. It's a dark walnut finish. It just happened to work out. That's what we wanted. I'm going to flip this over and do the other side. I'm going to check my dry time. And then now I'm going to knock all the rough finish part off with some 4/0 steel wool. So I took this steel wool to the entire surface that had been stained, the entire screen. Blew off the dust. And got prepared for the second coat. And again, once that was dry, knocked that all down with the 4/0 steel wool again. Blew it off clean with the air compressor and began the third coat. Now I'm needing to wait several hours in between coats here, so this whole process took quite a while. Next was going to be hinges. I got some heavy duty hinges and I decided to put 4 because of the weight of the door. This is not typical of a weight of a normal screen door. It's not quite the weight of a security steel screen door, but it's getting close. It's pretty heavy. This is pretty solid wood. And I could have recessed these hinges, but I actually discovered with my measurements that I had somewhat of a gap to fill, so I didn't really have a need to recess these. I will be the first to admit that I'm probably the last person you want hanging a door. But I got it done. Ended with 4 hinges for extra strength on this door. Didn't want any issues. The next step is going to be to get the screen material finally onto there. So I bought a kit that came with a certain amount of screen material, the proper width and length, and came with the tool and the cord. I got started on one edge and then pulled it snug and clamped it tight as I did the rest of the edges. Once all the edges were done, I went back with a straight edge and a razor knife and went through and cut that all flush. Now I needed to get some trim pieces, and that's going to be to cover up that bead for the screen to give that a nice finish. Took a piece of the same material and cut it about 1/8 of an inch and began to sand these little pieces in preparation for staining them also. Went to the long pieces and discovered that the vibration from the sander caused an explosive reaction and busted this piece in half. I decided to go to hand sanding. Yeah, that's a good move. Got all these small pieces stained up. And then clamped them down using the same rubber tip clamps. And I had to adjust my nail gun. I did a number of different tests on a scrap piece of this stuff because it's very thin, and the brad nailer at full strength was blowing the nails right through there, so I had to dial down the compressor to get it to the proper pressure so these nails would grip the wood but not go all the way through. That's my version of a pallet wood screen door. So from the planning stages, the cutting, the assembly, the sanding, the routering, staining, drying, and waiting and sanding, and doing that for 3 coats, mounting the screen material, hanging the door. It took several days to get this all done, but we love it. It works perfect for us and should last for many years. I encourage you to think outside the box and tackle your own projects and enjoy the satisfaction of building things yourself. If you like this video, check this pallet wood video out next. Thanks for watching our 2-acre world. Remember to build, grow, preserve, and live. Have a blessed day.
Our 2-acre world gives us a simple life.